Feeling thirsty?
Hello and welcome, one and all. I will be going over my recommended mod list as it is for 2020 in this video. Fallout New Vegas is my favorite video game ever made, and I've heard a lot of people try to get into it and say things like, oh, the shooting just doesn't feel good, oh, it feels old, oh, it crashes a lot, and stuff like that. And I can't deny, while it is my favorite game ever made, it hasn't aged the particularly greatest. So in this, I'm going to be going over every mod that I would recommend and why I would recommend them. I will also be going over how to install some of the mods and a quick rundown of how Mod Organizer 2 works. I mainly wanted to make this video in order to help out people who want to play New Vegas, but they don't really know how to start and they don't really know what to use, and they want to mod it up, but they don't want to mod it up too much, and this is the video for you. I'm mainly going to be going over things that keep the game very vanilla, and I'm going to be going over how you can make the shooting feel significantly better. Let's get into it. Now, the first couple things you're going to want to do is get yourself a fresh install of Fallout New Vegas and just go ahead and launch it for the first time. Then, you're going to want to get Mod Organizer 2. Now, this is a mod organizer that's pretty much developed by the team that made the old Nexus launcher, and you're probably going to have used that one before. It's leagues better than any other mod organizer that I've ever used out there, especially Vortex, which honestly just drives me insane. Once you've installed Mod Organizer 2 for the first time, go ahead and make a new instance and enter the name for it. Call it whatever you want, because it doesn't honestly matter that much. I'm just going to call mine Fallout New Vegas. And once you go ahead and do that, it'll open up and ask you to find the game you have installed. Go ahead and pick Fallout New Vegas from the list, though you can use this mod organizer to handle other games as well. Once you've got it open, it'll look a little something like this. It'll show all the DLC you have for Fallout New Vegas, and you can see your different profiles up at the top. By clicking on it and managing it, you can add, create, or remove, or copy new ones. So in this one, we're just going to create one called Modded, and we're going to switch it over to that one. The reason being, we're going to want this one to show that, hey, we have mods installed, while the other one will just be the absolute base Fallout New Vegas. We can go ahead and come over here and checkmark all of these. This shows what mods are installed and whether or not you want them to actively be turned on. Up here you can switch to different games by restarting Mod Organizer, switching to, say, Fallout 4 or Skyrim or stuff like that. And clicking back will take you back to the initial Mod Organizer, where it'll restart it again so that you can pick a different game, such as my other installed versions of Fallout 4. You can even do multiple instances of the same game. Like, one of these Fallout 4s was just for Frost, and the other one was for a regular modded version of the game. But for now, we're going to go back to New Vegas. Up here, you can click a button to install a mod from an archive. What this is going to do is open up the archive of all your files, so that if you manually download a mod, you can install it from here. You can also set up your profiles, and do that through the little profile button. You can also visit the Nexus directly from here, as well as link up your Nexus to this so that you're able to directly download mods. In here, it'll show all the downloads, all your saves, data, plugins, and archives, all the information you need to check what mods you have installed and downloaded and stuff like that. In the settings, you can come to the Nexus tab to go ahead and set it up and connect it to your Nexus account, therefore it'll pull all of the stuff you need it to. Just click the Associate with Download Manager links and you'll be good to go. And that's basically everything you need to know for running the Mod Organizer 2 launcher. It's going to be able to handle pretty much anything you want to throw at it, though there are certain instances where extra kind of stuff will happen. For a slightly down the line example, when we're installing the mod configuration menu, it actually has a small pop-up that gives us a couple options. Some mods will have this, some won't, but they'll simply pop up and allow you to pick whether or not you want to install extra stuff or not. Occasionally you'll have to download updates or alternate versions of mods if you want something like No Head Bob for the reanimation pack we'll go over later. In this case, simply download both of them and install the patch second, overwriting the original files to remove the stuff you don't want. Occasionally you'll have mods that don't put the data pack front and center, in which case you'll have to set it yourself. It's very simple. All you have to do is find the thing labeled data, set that as the data directory by right-clicking and clicking set data directory, and you're good to go. The mod will install just fine. Now, there is a full walkthrough for this, but it makes it seem a lot more complicated than in reality it really is. I also want to quickly mention before I get into more stuff that occasionally when launching Fallout New Vegas, it will say it's crashing when it starts up. Just give it a few seconds and it'll start up no problem. A side note here, if you want to install TTW, which is a mod that allows you to play Fallout 3 within Fallout New Vegas, go ahead and do that now. I'll have a link in the description on how to install it, but from base installations with nothing else installed at all, this is when you want to install TTW if you're going to do that. I'll have a link in the description on how to do it, and I will be installing it later in this video, so skip to the TTW part if you want to learn a little bit more about it and what it does. One more thing to note here is that all mods used in this video and all links are going to be in a Google document. If you want, you can just use the Google document to get all of the recommended mods, though I will be showing them off in this video as well. Next, we're going to go ahead and install NVSE. Just grab the zip file from its website, open it up, and drag and drop all files from here into the New Vegas directory, and go ahead and launch the game once with the NVSE loader. And while we're here in the Fallout New Vegas files, I want you to know the game uses mouse acceleration by default. Let's get rid of that. Go ahead and open the Fallout_default and go to the control section and add the lines in the description. Now go ahead and save that, and now it's time to start installing the mods. Everything in this section are mods that I consider you to absolutely need to install if you just want to have a good time with Fallout New Vegas. They make the game more stable, they patch it up, and they just make it good and work. Always use these mods and never just skip them. Now, by default, the game uses around 1 gigabyte of RAM, I think, or like half a gig. This just pulls that up to using 4 gigs of RAM. Just drag all the contents from this zip directly into the game directory and hit the launch on the exe. Hit one button and that's it, it's installed. The rest just go ahead and install in order through Mod Organizer 2. In order, they fix up the game engine and allow it to use above 60 frames a second without VSync, without absolutely breaking physics, and gets rid of microstutter. A mod that allows the extended script to go ahead and make the engine just more stable in general. An unofficial patch to fix the stuff the devs don't, which comes automatically with TTW, by the way, if you use that. A mod that allows double mouse cursors to be fixed and alt-tabbing without breaking the game, and a mod that ups the mod limit. All of these are essential to make the game far more stable, and I would always use those as they're a great base to move on to from there. I have one other mod that I recommend in the dock, and all it does is add a brand new set of textures to the game. They've been around for a good while, but I feel they're very vanilla friendly and don't have many significant changes. They just make the game look a good bit better. I very much recommend them. They're the NMC texture pack. And from there, you're good to just start playing the game as you want. These are the mods that I say you absolutely must have to play the game. You could play a full version of Fallout New Vegas from here, just completely stable with a couple texture changes, and be basically good to go at this point. At this point, you have a fantastic base, and you can start playing the game from here if you want to, but I do have more suggestions that I'll be going into. The number one complaint people have when they play New Vegas is that the gunplay is weak to them, and I get it. It was never really the best, and it's aged pretty poorly, but let's look at how we can improve it. This is the default gunplay. That's not the worst, it's playable and can be enjoyed, but it could really use an upgrade. This is what 3 other mods can do to the game. Suddenly the guns have more weight, recoil is real, and the animations are far improved. The guns bounce around appropriately when fired. Everything just feels better. The guns just move around more, and it overall feels much closer to a modern shooter. All you have to do if you want to vastly improve the gunplay of the game is add these 3 mods together, and they do everything you see here. Ashura's Reanimations overhaul changes the way that the guns animate, bounce, and kick when fired. Immersive Recoil just adds recoil, and the other mod, Weapon Inertia, makes it when you look around, the gun moves around a little bit as you do it. I would recommend Weapon Inertia actually all the time, as it's a very low mod that can work even with a very default playthrough of the game and just make it look a little bit better. But at this point, if that's all you wanted to get good gunplay, well, you can look at the video here and see that it's in a much better place than it once was, and I would very much recommend it. So if you just want better gunplay in New Vegas and a default experience, go ahead and run with the mods we've got here. But please note, Ashura's animations do not work with TTW and will break. From here, we're just looking to improve the overall experience. A couple of these are very minimal, and we're just gonna go through those first as we get to the more major ones. One makes it so that when you look down, you see your body as you walk. One makes the UI fit slightly better to the PC. One of the mods makes the mod before that one work. One opens up the strip and free side. Some add some new textures for weapons, and one mod populates casinos more. The UI mods you may have a bit of trouble with, and I showed how to install it properly before. All you need to do is set the data directory at the top, right click and hit set directory, and it's good to go. Those mods do a lot of basic stuff, and you can probably see it all in the background here. They do exactly what they say they will. You don't have load zones between the strip halves, you don't have load zones between free side, and when you look down, you see yourself, and casinos just tap more people. These were all originally things that the developers had to do to the game to keep the RAM usage down, so that if you didn't have a lot, it wouldn't tank the frames. I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, and I still have drops. So use these cautiously, but a couple of them are good. Mainly the load zones between free side and populated casinos were kept down for RAM uses, so just don't use those if you don't think you need it. The other three mods are much bigger. Kind of very much bigger. So I'll go through them in order. The first up is Just Assorted Mods. It used to be called Just Mod Assorted, and it confuses me every time. It is essentially a collection of other mods broken down into their most basic form and put into the game. It adds a dynamic crosshair, hit markers, indicators for when you get hit, visual objectives Skyrim style, hold breath when you aim down sights with snipers, a sprint button, a slow time button if you want to use it in place of VATS, a weapon wheel for quickly changing between weapons and items, and Fallout 4 style looting. All of which are included pretty seamlessly and just work. I recommend turning off the aim down sight dot and turning off visual objectives, as they are just annoying, but the rest just improves the game as a whole. The removed GRA mod just changes some things that were annoying and makes them less so. There was an add-on that added a bunch of new weapons, items, and attachments to the game, some of which are on this base game weapons, but they're called GRA versions. And that meant that you can get a GRA version and attachment that are super overpriced, but you can only get them from shots. Non-GRA versions of the same weapon can't use the GRA attachments, and it's just kind of annoying. Essentially what this means is you could have a plasma pistol, but then you want to get this attachment that's GRA, and if you get the GRA attachment for your regular plasma pistol, you can't install it, so now you have to buy the more expensive GRA-specific plasma pistol. You can obviously see how that got a little bit annoying. This just removes the GRA tag on weapons and attachments, meaning that you can install all attachments to all weapons if it's the right attachment. The final mod adds a functional post endgame. Originally, when you beat Fallout New Vegas, you didn't continue. This mod makes it continue by using the unused content the game had to allow you to keep playing after the main story is over. It's up to you if you want to use this mod, but I feel like the idea behind it most people will enjoy. However, I don't personally use it. There's a certain finality to the end of Fallout New Vegas playthroughs that I wouldn't want to take away. The wrap-up afterwards, hearing what happens to the world, and seeing how all the quests and events and stuff you took part in play out, I wouldn't want to take away. But these are the mods that I can say most people would want to use for a first playthrough, and we'd be fine with that. These are the mods that I would absolutely recommend to anyone going to play Fallout New Vegas. TTW, or Tale of Two Wastelands, needed its own section. I love Fallout New Vegas a lot, and that should be obvious, but I also absolutely love Fallout 3. It's a game I love to sink time into, and I love it for a lot of reasons that are totally 100% different from why I love Fallout New Vegas. Tale of Two Wastelands takes Fallout 3 itself and makes the game into a mod for Fallout New Vegas. Picture that. You take a whole ass game and just make it into another game. I'm actually playing Fallout New Vegas right now. It's great, it's amazing, and I love it. It's not super balanced and kind of broken in leveling and perks, where Fallout 3 has just mixed its perks and leveling with the New Vegas ones, even the shitty ones that they actually removed when they were making Fallout New Vegas, but it allows you to play a totally different game within Fallout New Vegas, and most Fallout 3 and New Vegas mods just work with this. It actually makes Fallout 3 way more stable and way easier to play, as well as fixes up some of the stuff that honestly was just bad game design with 3, and makes it far better. If you're going to replay Fallout 3, I recommend using this, and I tend to use it anytime I want to replay Fallout 3. So finally, we're at the end. I have other mods that I put in my recommended mods list, but these are the main ones that I would actually say are good for people just wanting to get into the game or first players. The other ones add a ton of extra content and extra stuff like more energy weapons and effects, lights across the wasteland, more quests to do, the ability to run the Lucky 38, more guns, and just more. I do like these mods, but I don't really ever personally use them. If you have done a playthrough or two of Fallout New Vegas and just want to really switch up the game and change it up heavily, then use them. Otherwise, for me personally, this is where I'm going to stop showing them off, as the mods kind of speak for themselves and they are ones I do recommend, but I'm not personally going to use. At this point, with the mods provided, the game looks better, runs better, should never crash, at least it hasn't for me, and that's not exaggeration. It handles far better overall as a shooter, and feels far more modern. It's a game you could likely get far more time out of now than you could have otherwise, and I love it. I love this game, and I just wanted to make a huge video about how much I love this game, but that video will come eventually, and I will probably look back at this someday as I keep making videos, and maybe I'll look at more mods in the future, but for now, I say that these are the best mods, and they're the ones that I personally recommend you use as you play Fallout New Vegas, even if you're coming into it for just the first time. As I said before, the links are in the description in a Google Doc that you can use to find all the mods, MVSE, and how to install TTW. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video.